Hi, this is Derek from LiveWatch. Today we have a 1968 Bulova Accutron Deep Sea 666 feet diver. This was sent in by my customer named Chris Broadmarco from Texas. The story behind this watch is his lovely wife bought it for him back in 1968, so he's the original owner of this watch. Currently the watch is not moving, so we need to take it apart and analyze what happened in the watch, and we can go from there. The first step will be removing the bracelet because I want to prevent the bracelet from flapping around to damage the case or the crystal. The green mat you have seen in the background on the table, that is a Burgeon 6808-5 professional watchmaker scratch resistant surface. So we are not risking scratching up the watch while the crystal is facing down here. The next step will be holding the case in the case vise and use a case back opener to open up the case back so we can examine the internals. Now we have the case back removed, and the first thing I saw is a lot of black adhesive / glue material splattered all around the movement. And Chris, do tell me about this. This was done by a previous watchmaker who tried to reseal the case back using black adhesive, and his last watchmaker trying to clean off the adhesive, but not 100%. This will also take care in this video. What I have here is the Accutron test set made from Watchmaster products, the model 700. And I also have this old Accutron mercury-based coin cell for testing battery. After all these years, the battery still tested okay, so we are using this battery for diagnostics. So I switched the tester to read microampere mode and hook up the watch. This is the positive, and then the negative, it's on the watch case. You can see the needle overshot a little and then came back down to 218 and 230 max. This is actually considered normal because the watch is just starting up, so the amperage will be high. We need to wait for it to stable a little bit. But we can see the number is floating above 10 a little bit. This actually makes me nervous because considering the watch age might have some dried up grease in the mechanism. You can see what's causing this in the later of the video. Now I know the watch will run, so I will go ahead to order a new battery for the watch. But in the meantime, I will still keep this testing battery in the watch to let it run. While I'm inserting the battery, I feel the battery spring tab is not tight enough, so I need to take off the spring tab and then readjust the spring. After I readjust the battery spring tab, and now it's performed correctly, so I'm going ahead to assemble the watch back and then wait for the battery to arrive. After a few days, the watch is still running and keeping time. That means the movement doesn't have any damage or serious damage, and the battery do arrive. So now we're gonna take open the case back again and clean off the black adhesive / glue substance and install the battery. After removing some parts, I try to use Rodical to wipe away the black stuff, but it doesn't budge. It's quite tough on there. So I'm using a pegwood right now to try to scrape away the black stuff, and then still no luck. The cleaning is not efficient enough. And then I use Q-tips and acetone to clean away the black stuff. You can see it's dissolving quite efficiently and leave a very clean surface. I will say I'm really satisfied of the final results. The watch is super clean right now, and you can see all the black stuff is gone. But I realized there's like the black material seep into between the movement and the case, so I need to disassemble the movement to clean that properly. Now the movement is out of the case, so I can clean the movement and the case correctly. When I pick up the crown, I realize there's a lot of green copper rust on it, so we need to clean this as well. After I clean off the stem, I replace the movement into the case, and I realize on the part which the crown will sit, it's pretty dirty, so I also clean it. After everything is clean to my satisfaction, it's time to assemble the stem and crown assembly back onto the watch. And because when I pull out the crown and stem assembly, it was very dry. Normally there would be a very thin coat of braking grease on the stem, but there's not, so I need to put a little bit of grease on the stem to make the internal work happily. Accutron's 218 movement, sometimes it will be hard to engage the stem to the keyless work clutch. And I'm trying very carefully for the past 30 minutes try to engage the stem to the keyless work, but no luck. So I decided maybe there's something wrong inside the keyless work, so I need to open up the watch and take a look. What I'm doing here is using a hands removing tool to remove the hands, and then I will remove the dial and review the movement itself. There's two tiny screws on the movement which hold on to the dial pin, so we need to unscrew these two tiny screws and then we can remove the dial. The dial pins behind the dial is very tiny and fragile, so have to be extra careful while removing the dial. After removing the dial, we can see the movement right now. We know the problem might happen in the keyless work, so we just targeting the keyless work right now. When I started to remove the date lever, I feel it really stuck on to the part, and after removing it I see dried up grease, and it's a very bad sign. Means the watch maybe haven't been serviced for a long time. If you still remember, the number was high on the Accutron test kit. That's also indicated there might be dried up grease to have unnecessary friction on the drive chain. So we need to remove those dried up grease for sure. After we remove a lot of gears and springs, and you can see on the bottom right corner that is the keyless work, and now we need to disassemble the keyless work. This is a parts basket from my L&R Mass Dramatic watch part cleaner, and we are putting all the parts in the basket to give it a thorough wash. The wash itself contained 4 parts. The first is the cleaner, and the second is the first rinse, and the third is the second rinse, and the fourth is the drying cycle. At the meantime, I'm using Q-tips and acetone to clean the movement, to remove all the dried up grease, and then use Radical to finish it up. After the base plate is cleaned and the parts are dry, it's time to assemble the movement. This part of movement assembly will be a little bit lack of explanation, but if you are interested to see how I assemble this movement, please stick through the video. Thanks. Hi, glad you make it so far. The movement already been assembled, and then I'm adjusting the time to the date snapped over. That means midnight at 12 o'clock. And then we can start replacing the hands. After the hands has been replaced, I'm checking the alignment of the hands to see if it will interfere with other hands. In this case, it looks perfect. So now I'm gonna remove the crown and stem assembly and case the watch, reinstall the crown and stem assembly, clean the internals, and then case the watch. The stem latch on the keyless work on the first try. Very good. After I reinstalled the movement spring and the battery spring, now it's the time to install the brand new battery. So this battery is made from a company called Accutron. This Accutron-1 is designed to power Bulova's Accutron tuning fork movements. It replaced the original mercury cells, which are no longer available. I know there's a way to convert the Accutron to use a modern 1.5 volts coin cell, but I always tell my customer if the Accutron is still available, I won't convert the watch because I like the watch to be original as possible, and seems like most of the customers agree on this statement. The Accutron itself contains the SR927 silver oxide battery with a step-down circuit, so you can see it's in a very unique package. The last component we need to clean is the case back. The case back rubber, I tried to remove it. It seems like it's stuck to the case back, but it still feels bouncy, and I think it's still in good condition. Just somehow stuck to the case back. Maybe that black adhesive again. But it's okay, we can just clean it and relube it with a special O-ring grease and then seal the case back. After the case back and gasket are cleaned, I'm now ready to apply a very thin coat of silicone grease on the case back gasket. This product is called Speed Lubrication. It contains silicone grease in the foam. So I just need to rub the O-ring on the foam and it will apply a tiny thin film of the silicone grease. Now the watch case is fully assembled. I just need to clean it a little and then attach the bracelet. Finally looks like a watch now. I adjust the time to Texas time, so when Chris receives his package, the time should be correct. Before I assemble the clasps, I like to apply this protection film so it will be ready to ship. Well, the job is done. I really enjoy working on this watch. As a huge Accutron fan, I can't say I can experience this watch in my lifetime again, so I have to throw it on my wrist and feel how it will feel like. But yeah, it's just too gorgeous. I wish I can own one, maybe later, but for now, I hope Chris will enjoy my job. Thank you for watching. This has been Derek. See you next time.